happening? Got 110 people waiting already. Oh, look at that. Exciting stuff.
Just waiting for the stream buffer to catch up and then we'll kick off.
There it is. There it is.
Nice.
It's all happening.
It's all happening. Okay. Clearly, Fritz can hear Grant rabbiting on. So let's get rid of that.
What are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
Anyway, here we go. Hello, everyone. Good day to you. Good evening, Grant. Good morning. We're here today to talk about what really matters in game development. We're also going to talk a little bit about our lifetime membership stuff that's going on at the moment. We're going to be answering questions. So if you've got any questions, please add it in the chat. If you're watching live, obviously. If you're watching not live, then you can add it in the comments below. Add it in the chat with QSTN beforehand. We'll get to as many questions as we can. And I want to kick off by talking about what really matters in game development. And I know it's going to be really a cheesy thing to say, but what really matters is finishing your game. Yeah. And so Grant and I are going to talk about one key principle that will really help you in finishing your game, which is reusability or reuse. Being clever with taking shortcuts as an indie game developer. And Grant's going to talk a couple of artistic suggestions when it comes to reusability. And for me, I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy you can take towards designing your features in your game. So first of all, Grant, do you have anything to show us when it comes from an art perspective? How can we get better at reusing our assets so that we make something once and we use it 10 times?
Exactly that, yeah. So can I share my screen? This is going to be fun, isn't it? Should have tested this beforehand, as always, but let's see how we go.
You can do it. You can do it, Grant.
I can do this.
Down the middle, there should be a button. Add to scene. Yep. There we go.
It's happening. Yeah. I was so pleased. This easier than how it was on Discord last time we did this. In fact, can you see my mouse as well? Oh, it's all happening. This is amazing.
You can see your mouse. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a really quite a small asset pack, I would say. And from this little asset pack, this is actually part of the Pathway course that I've just completed. Me and Rick spent quite a lot of time talking about this, didn't we? And making assets and doing a big mega course about making assets, reusability. So that was quite a key aspect that we identified for game developers. And just from these small tiles that you can see here, these small modules, and then these different enemies and things, you can build quite an extensive dungeon scene. So it's quite easy, really. And this is just one level. You could easily just change the colors. That's the most obvious thing, changing the colors of objects. I know it's really probably a bit too obvious perhaps, but it's surprising how many people think, oh, I want to make something really special and then this really different level. But no, just keep things simple, finish the game. It's more about finishing, like as Rick points out. And there's obviously reusability here in terms of the way the asset pack is made. So if we go back to these modules, you can see that there's one wall here. If I can zoom in on that, let's try and zoom in on that. There we go. You can see that that's obviously the same wall as this, but it's just a different shade of gray. But it does add quite a lot of variation, especially when you get the lights in there. I'll go to rendered view. Hopefully that works. And we got, oh, I didn't realize I changed the lights to blue. But that could be a new level, changing the lights to blue.
That's a great point, actually, because there's a lot of communication to the player. If you run into a room and the lights are red, all the player's going to be seeing and thinking is red must be whatever, danger, or there's a different thing you're trying to tell me. And then blue, it tells you a totally different thing. So, yeah, you're accidental, deliberate. I think you did that on purpose.
Oh, of course. The
red versus blue is quite significant from a player perspective, but from a developer perspective, it's just like click, done.
Yeah. It's simple stuff, but it can make quite a big difference, can't it? And it's also when it comes to characters as well, you can see in these different characters. I'll go back to material preview mode, a bit of faster render, but you can see these are just variations of the same thing. Very, very simplistic here, but just adding some funny scales on the shoulders, or different colored horns, and obviously a weird different, I don't know what that sort of horn is, but I was just doing things really quickly, seeing what I could make in just a few seconds, and you can get lots of different monsters there. There's the dinosaur. People might remember that from the Complete Blender Creator. And in the pathway, we talk about how you can modify that. So this one's got 4 legs, but you can see I've just modified the back leg, torn this apart basically. Sorry, Mr. Dinosaur, and added some extra legs in there. and then it's got some weird arms there. This one's got 3 heads, and it's quite simple. You just copy the middle head, put it across, create a gap in here, and you've got some monstrosity of a 3-headed monster. And they're really quick to make. You just have to obviously understand simple polygon pulling around and switching up, but it's surprising what you can do. And you've got all these different weird monsters. That one's just got the head stretched, and then it's the head stretched with teeth, and then the head stretched with teeth and horns, and then changing the color. And there I've got quite a few enemies that I can put around in the dungeon, and you can see them all spread around the dungeon. There's one ready to attack the poor player that's going to come through this door.
Grant, can you show us something in real time here? I know you didn't plan for this, so you might be like, Rick, what are you doing?
Oh, no, I'm ready for it.
Can you take one of those characters? And this is from someone who might be looking at that saying, well, I don't want to get into Blender and do this crazy stuff. I don't know Blender. But to show us just how easy it is to say, take one of those characters, make its head a bit bigger, and shrink it down to half the size, and maybe change the color, maybe not. But the reason I say this is my number one favorite as a designer who's a bit of a hack is scale of something. So if you've got an enemy that is a certain size, like here, this is Grant getting into Blender, and you can learn how to do this in like, I don't know, 15 minutes, how to scale a head. Yeah, that's great. Now it's got a big head. It's a Minotaur thing instead of a whatever thing. It's got a big head. Great. And you see, if it's taken Grant all of, 12 seconds to do, then with a little bit of learning, it might take you 5 minutes to do. And that's okay, 5 minutes to have an entirely different character. I think the size of it and the color are two things that just completely change a character. It's still going to look like a humanoid character. It's still going to be walking and fighting and whatever. So just quickly changing the size of its head looks totally different now. Changing the scale of it. Well, you can make this one bigger or smaller, whichever way you want to do this, Grant.
Is it going to be a boss? It's going to be really big.
Yeah, we're comparing left monster with right monster. So if you're running along and you're like slash, hack, shoot, whatever your particular game is, and then you come across this bigger monster, it's got a big head, and if it's just simply a different color, you see how easy it is, for Grant here, just to select a different color. If you've got this low poly style, this makes this process quite easy. If you've got an asset pack and using super detailed high poly assets, then maybe you're not going to be monkeying around with it quite so much in Blender like Grant's doing. But now we've got 2 enemies after just 30 seconds, a minute. And you could do that same process. You start with one base enemy, and then, as Grant's saying, stretch the horns out a little bit. There's another one, change the color. There's another one. But what you've got there's a lot of
Sorry.
Head back. They're looking reasonably similar, and this is how most asset packs are going to provide characters. They're going to be consistent. They'll be quite similar, but scaling is the magic formula for having things look different. Even the assets you've got scattered, the props. So you've got a small barrel and a big barrel, and the big barrel just happens to be dark in color and the light barrel light in color. Then you've doubled your assets with that philosophy. The crates that you've got there, if you just go and slap a texture on it that looks more metallic, then you've got a metal box versus a wooden box. And you've got
candlesticks, short candlestick, long candlestick, and torch. They're all the same sort of flame, same thing.
Exactly. So then if you're working with an artist, whether that's a friend you partnered up with or someone you've paid to do some work for, or you are using an asset pack, then you look at the asset pack and you might say, it's got some stuff in it, but my world doesn't feel rich enough. I don't feel like there's enough things. But I guarantee you, if you take the 10 things that are in that asset pack, the 10 props, and scale and color and a little bit of stretching, then you can turn those 10 into 100 quite easily.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to show that you can obviously take this further, but it's a bit slower, of course, at this point when, but you can end up with assets a bit more like this. Let's just hide the rig for a second. But just by adding detail, so this is taken from a base mesh, and then you can probably start to see, in fact, if I just go into edit mode, that this is fairly simple extrusions for this interesting wristband, and simple extrusions for this sort of, I don't know, bra type thing that they've got there. And it gets a bit more complicated when it comes to actual kind of dresses like this or capes. That's where it gets a bit tricky. And my advice would actually be keep it kind of skin tight, like this particular character here. They have got a kind of loincloth there, but that's the only dangly bit, because as soon as you start rigging, the don't Rick, easy.
Such dangerous territory here. Family
But,
show. What are you doing?
let's pretend there's a cape that's dangling out the back. As soon as you get something that's detachable, it can easily cross over, and the faces can overlap and things when you're rigging. So keep things skin tight where possible if you want an easy life. But if you want a little bit more complexity, then you can start going for this sort of clothing. And it is just basic shapes. It's a little bit awkward to see again, but you can kind of see the basic shapes that this is. Just extrusions, very simple, but all built from a very simplistic base model. Sorry, simple extrusions from a slightly more complex base model. So it does depend on your base model. And that's the sort of skills we build up in the pathway, just in case. A bit of advertising there.
Okay, well, you're talking about pathway. We've got the Blender pathway product, whatever we're calling it, Blender Pathways, which is basically Grant guiding you through the first 3 or 4 Blender courses, so that you're not sitting there saying, where do I go? How do I start? What do I go to? It's you and Grant hanging out, going through that, and then the output of that being your own asset pack for your own game, or to create an asset pack for others.
Yeah, you could even sell the asset pack. I think this is an amazing little dungeon here, so I'm going to sell it on one of these sites, I reckon. See what I can get for it.
GameDev TV site, hopefully, Grant.
Yeah. No, I need some extra money, side money, so I'm going to go and sell it.
Change the tech
Turbo Squid or something.
Yeah. There's a topic that comes up a lot, Grant. I think this is going to be relevant for everyone in game development, but definitely artists, is AI, generative AI. And I think I've been really diving deep into this recently and trying to understand what really matters in game development, the topic of today's conversation, as it relates to AI. And for me, the future is being a problem solver, being a communicator, and understanding the needs and converting that into the output. And so what AI is good at is things that can take us a lot of time, moving things around or coming up with something from a blank piece of paper. What AI is not so good at is the conversation we're having just here is saying, okay, we've got one character that we're happy with. Let's make his head a little bit bigger. And in the future, you might just type in, make its head a little bit bigger, and it makes the head a little bit bigger. So you might not need to have that pure artistic skill of how do I move the vertices around, how do I move the faces. But it's going to be more and more important for us as game developers to look at a character, to look at our world, to look at our gameplay, to look at what we're trying to do and say, I think I need another 2 characters here. I think just making the head a little bit bigger and making the overall character a little bit smaller is going to be the solution. And for now, getting into Blender and doing it that way is the best way to do it. Whether you start with an existing asset from an asset pack, or, as AI becomes more prominent, people are going to start to use something as an AI generated starting point more and more. Whether that's the starting point or whether you've gone and made it yourself completely from scratch in Blender, you still need to have that next step of how do I turn 1 into 10 without it being just random vomit that a computer has said, oh, here's 10. You're actually in there specifically saying, okay, what were the dangly bits you're looking at? The loincloth dangly bit?
Loincloth.
Let's modify those. So instead of this character looking like they've got no armor, let's modify it. So this is the base character that the enemy you're coming up against. It's got 10 hit points. And I want a character or an enemy that's got 20 hit points and is tougher to kill for the player. Let's put some armor on that. Because you need to be thinking logically as a game developer, okay, not just changing the art asset, but how that relates to the gameplay. So what I'm trying to say in here is that this is a skill for the future. And I think this is fairly future-proof in the next few years at least, is having an eye for how I reuse assets, reuse gameplay, reuse elements of my game. And that's something that you can't just go into ChatGPT and be like, okay, hey, make another 10 characters, or into Midjourney or whatever the 3D tools are coming down the path. You can't click a button, have your game made. You still have to have the understanding, the perception, the ideas, the strategy. I think for at least the next few years. I don't want to try to crystal ball what's going to happen in 10 years' time. Who knows?
No, it's very tricky at the moment, isn't it? But that adaptability and that understanding of the fundamentals, being able to change things up, That's key for the next couple of years, and then we'll see and be adaptable for the years after that, I guess.
Yeah,
is the way to look at it.
And there's some good comments in there. Look, straight from the heart, I hate AI. I wish it would just go away. I wish it never came along, because so many of our skills, Grant and I, our skills, we developed that people now don't need to develop. It's like, oh man, it took me 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to be good at doing that. And now someone can click a button and have AI do it. But as a lot of the comments are saying, it's like, AI is it's so often wrong. It's often bad. There's the moral aspect to it. There's the legal aspect to it. So we're not fans. We're not here saying AI is the best thing that's happened to us ever. It's quite the opposite, to be honest. There's a lot of game developers out there saying, dang, I wish that didn't happen. But it's going to happen, and it's coming. And we need to be strengthening the parts of our skill set that are resilient to AI, or resilient to the future, right? So that's all about, I was saying, problem solving. It's about understanding what needs to be created and what gets created, and making sure that's the right connection there. It's what's the experience I'm creating for the player, what's the mood, what's the energy, what's the tone. These are the things that you need to continue practicing now, irrespective of how you create it and irrespective of what AI is going to do. Practice those, because those are more future-proof than some of the other things that are happening within game development, I think.
Yeah. I'll just answer a quick few questions on the art side, because people are asking me about tablets. There seems to be a bit of a discussion there. The tablet I use is actually a Sense Lab. They're a bit more sort of mid-range. So you got Wacom at the top, Sense Lab are just underneath them, and then there's XP Pen and Huion underneath that. They're really good. The XP Pen and the recent XP Pen and Huions, really good tablets. That's what I would go for if I were starting afresh. I'd just go for the XP Pen or the Huion. There's not a huge amount of difference between that and the Sense Lab and the Wacom. If you're a really great artist, you'll notice it. But for most of us, and actually using things like sculpting and texture painting within Blender, you won't really notice the difference. You might notice the difference when you're doing really refined concept art in something like Photoshop, perhaps. If you're one of these really high-end artists, then that's when you can go for your Wacom and stuff. But XP Pen, Huion, my preferred is XP Pen. They just seem to have better drivers. So that's my advice on that one.
Yeah, awesome. And let's see. So I do want to have as many questions as we can today, because I think that gives us the richest of conversations. But if there's anything else we can talk about in terms of what matters with game development today, I keep coming back to the hardest thing when making a game is to make the player feel a certain way. And a lot of the times as new game developers, we're so focused on a gameplay mechanic. You know, this rocket jump is amazing. I shoot the ground and it launches me in the air, and I've worked for it on weeks. For weeks I've worked on it, and now it works. Oh, it's amazing. But there's no polish around it. There's no feeling around it. When you shoot, there's no great sound effect. There's no feeling of like, whoa, look what I just did. It only jumps a little bit. It's like, oh, that's only slightly higher than a regular jump. And so I think this is the skill that you need to be training up and practicing a lot. Practicing and get it wrong, and practice and get it wrong, is how do I make my player feel something? How do I make it feel great to do that rocket jump? How do I make it immersive? How can I make the screen shake a little bit? How can I get the lighting so when you do that rocket jump, the whole world kind of flashes for a moment, so it just feels amazing? And that would be something that I would say, practice that at the same time you're practicing just learning the core coding or core artwork, core elements. So, for example, if you're going through one of our courses, and we'll talk about our courses a little bit in this conversation, just a heads up in case anyone didn't realize we're going to talk about what we do at GameDev TV. As you're going through a course, I think work on a project and then always make sure you iterate on that even just a little bit. So say we're making a game where you've got Project Boost in our Unity 3D course. You've got a little rocket thing and it rotates around and it's got some physics and gravity, and you're just trying to go from A to B. And we go through the core, how to program that, how it works, collision and starting the scene, ending the scene, replaying, all that kind of good stuff. When you're going through that, always be looking to modify it, to make it your own. Add a little bit of a detail in here, add a little bit of something in there, make the ship bigger, change the color of it. When you land, instead of one particle, trigger 2 particles. When you when you land, try to figure out how to put a screen shake in there, change the camera positioning, change the coloring. So make sure that you're not just following along. And this is the same whether you're following our course, whether you're following something on YouTube as a tutorial. Learn the core knowledge that the instructor is trying to get to you, and then modify at least something of it so you can be practicing that process of creating some feeling, creating some mood, making it your own thing. That's really, really important. And the reason I hammer on that is we talk to so many beginners, we see so many beginners go through our community, and often they're very focused on, I just need to get the thing made exactly the way the instructor's making it, and they're not pushing themselves to solve problems. This is what the future is dictating for us. We've got to learn how to solve problems, and we've got to learn how to make things give the player a feeling.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm slightly distracted because I was just letting my YouTube audience know that we're live. So I'm just typing away there.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I think you can connect these streams somehow, but just not
that's I was looking at that then. So I was I was listening, honestly, Rick.
It's okay, Grant. The usual one is, I was reading the comments. There is a comment in here from Pornex Porn, PAWN, in case anyone's wondering. Level design is probably one of the hardest side of things for me. I don't even know where to begin with. That's a really common conversation. If someone's invested a lot of their time and effort and love into learning programming or into learning Blender, level design is a whole new beast. And I think when it comes to level design, it's back to state the feeling you're trying to create for the player and state the goal of what the level is. So say, for example, you're making an RPG and you want to have it a story-based RPG where the player's traveling from A to B. So as opposed to an open world or procedurally generated, then take the first chunk of that area. Okay, the first 1 minute. What do I want the player to be doing in 1 minute? And so level design is not so much about, okay, where do I put things? That's obviously a big part of it. But the first part is what are the milestones? What are the accomplishments? What are the goals? What are the things I want the player to be doing? So first of all, I might want a really hearty battle where the player nearly dies. And then after that, I want some sort of health pack that they need to go and find and discover. And then after that, I want them to get a piece of story, because it's really important we push the story along. And then after that, I want them to have to spend, I don't know, a minute just searching for where the key is. And when you've got that list of requirements for your level, then you can say, okay, well, now I need to understand distances. So the player can run from here to here in 10 seconds. Run. How long do I think a player will run before getting bored? And this is one of the problems we have in games where we don't have the content in there yet. You have a fight and then run. You're like, oh my goodness, there's nothing to do here. Run. And then, so 10 seconds might be too long in your game with no action happening. It might be 5 seconds, or it might be a different sort of game where it's 20 seconds. So you need to work out your distances, your timing, and that's just you. Like, this is you problem solving and you having your eye for detail. If you're like, I'm not sure, get a friend, jump into the GameDev TV community and ask for some help. Hey, our Discord server is always active with people helping each other out with these sorts of things. I'm making a game. Here's a video of it. Always use videos rather than saying, go play the demo of my game, because 100 people will watch a video and 3 people will go and play the game. At the start, here it is. I've recorded a minute. What do you think about it? Does it seem like the distances are the right distance? Does it seem like there's the right amount of fighting? Does 3 enemies feel good, or should I have 5 enemies? Here's a video where I've got 2 enemies. Here's a video where I've got 10 enemies. Which one do you think is better? And so get your rules for your level, and then distances and timing and stuff, and then get your goals for the level. I want this and that and that and that and that. And then sit down and try to create your level. And I think it'll go a lot smoother. It'll be a lot cleaner and easier to do than if you're just sitting there at a blank canvas and saying, I'll put a road through a world and then I'll figure out what happens.
So I was just cleaning up my link. My link wasn't working. And someone saying,
there's always something.
Sorry about this, Rick.
Sorry, Rick wasn't listening. I was
absolutely useless over here.
Yeah, had to feed the dog.
There is a question from Stephen Nichols who says, how do you keep yourself motivated in the areas you know you're not strong at? So I can program but suck at art. What's the way to keep going when it gets to the asset designing stage? What do you reckon, Rick?
Great question. I would say don't do them. Don't do the bits you're not
Yeah,
good at.
exactly.
That's
That's
what
exactly what
got
I was
me
thinking.
through my entire career. So either team up with someone else or outsource it. You can outsource it either by paying a tiny bit of money or a big bit of money. So the number one way, if you're a programmer but not an artist, is everyone can say it with me, everyone, is go get an asset pack or 2 or 3. And if you're a Unity person, go to the Unity asset store. If you're an Unreal person, go to the Unreal Marketplace. If you're a Godot person, it's a little bit trickier, but there's plenty of places out there that have assets. And particularly when you're starting off and your game is not yet to the point where it's awesome. Okay. So when your game is early days, get assets from anywhere. Like here's some free Kenny assets. Here's something I found from itch.io, has a lot of free assets. Put it in your game so it just feels more polished. And then make the game, make it good, make it amazing. If a lot of people are saying, I love this game, I want more of it, can you do, make it even better? Then you can go spend some proper money on art. And I think, if you've got a bit of a budget, you can say to someone, I need some art direction. I'd like to pay someone for art direction. Tell me the color palette I should be using, tell me my lighting I should be using, and give me some examples of assets I can use. Go in that direction. You can jump in the GameDev TV discussions and forums and Discord and say, hey, I'm looking to team up with an artist. I'm a pretty good programmer. I'd like an artist who'd like to join me. There could be someone out there who wants to join you. Come join one of our programs, our indie program. We go through a lot of these particular things and you can connect with other people in other programs. We've got a 3D art program that we ran in start of the year. We're going to be running again next month.
It is next month, isn't it? It's coming up, isn't it?
I've just clicked over into August. So is it August we're running it, or is it August, September?
It's beginning of September, isn't it?
Beginning of September.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
and that's if you want to get good at making art. If you're like, I'm working on my game and I suck at art, I'm ready to get better at art, then come and join us in there. Or as Grant was talking about before, the Blender pathways. So if you do have time to invest in it, as in, you can spend a couple of months getting good as an artist, you can do that. But if you don't like it, then don't get good at it. Like don't worry about it. Outsource it, or asset packs is the easy answer to that. Art asset packs, audio asset packs. You can, if you're not a very good programmer, start with a template. So a programming template that you can get, again, Unity asset store. If you want to make a tower defense, go get a tower defense template, and then it's all kind of there. And then the knowledge you need to have is just figuring out, how do I change things? How do I modify things? As opposed to the knowledge you need to have is, how do I start from scratch and architect this whole thing?
Another different question. So Shadow64, I totally agree that solving problems is a very important skill, and that's why I'm your older Unity skill builder course evangelist. I think that sort of makes it slightly weirdly written. Is there any plan now to do the same again in Godot or Unreal with that course? What do you think?
Yeah, I love that so much. I really enjoyed that. I was a bit sad because a lot of the feedback we got was people saying that they didn't have time to be in basically Skill Builder was a product that we had where we gave you broken projects and then you had to get in there and figure out how to fix them. And I thought it was really fun to do. But we found a lot of people saying, I ran out of time to fix those because I'm busy fixing my own. So that was one of the things we came up against, is that people who wanted to have that challenge sort of felt the guilt of not fixing their own project or working on their own project. But if there's enough excitement, enough demand for it, then that's absolutely something that we would dive into and do again. I really enjoyed that product.
Yeah, it's a good way of learning, isn't it? Just to go in and sort of fix things up. Yeah, it's a good one. There's another question.
Sorry, I think we still do provide that. If there's any lifetime members watching at the moment, can you let me know if you still have access to Skill Builder? I know the versions of Unity are probably a little bit old now, but in a way that's fantastic, because step one of Skill Builder is figure out why the project won't work because it's in an old version. That's problem solving right there. So just let me know if you can still access Skill Builder. I think we were still providing it to people. New people who joined still got that, but we don't have it for sale on our website anymore. We've parked that for the moment, but maybe as a lifetime member, you still have access to it. We're going to talk about lifetime membership a little bit later on.
Yeah, a different question from Themis Prome. I really struggle on mocap and face animation. what budget solution is there for solo developers? That's quite a tough one. Budget solutions are the sort of motion capture you get with the sort of iPhone ones that you can get that rig, isn't it? There are some solutions, I think, aren't there, that you can do it with a webcam, but they're really not very good yet. You'll have to wait a little bit on that one. I haven't seen any really good ones, but the best ones are you put your iPhone in to that one of those facial rigs and it will capture you. But even then, it's still quite complicated and quite awkward. I don't know. As a solo developer, I think that's a bit too far. Maybe it's tricky, isn't it? Because if that's the crux of your game is talking face to face to something, I don't know. I just feel like that's without expensive options like Rococo captures and stuff like that. It looks like you're either going to have to spend some money or spend a lot of time figuring out the tools and getting them to work. I mean, there is one with Blender and things, but it's just so awkward to set up, and I've looked into it and thought, no, I'm not going there. I'll wait until they simplify the process, which I'm sure they will. So personally, I'd go in a different direction with that sort of thing as a solo dev. That's the sort of thing you tend to get as part of a team, and that's something you focus on. What do you think, Rick? Do you think that's fair to say?
Sorry, Grant, I wasn't listening. I was talking to my my YouTube channel. And,
fair enough.
See what I did there? No, I was actually I was generally reading the comments to find more questions.
No, so, that's fair enough. Yep.
We're like two airline pilots. It's like, you got the plane right? Yeah, no worries. The other one's off, like having a coffee, talking to the passengers and stuff, and like, hey, I need you in the cockpit. The plane's got issues. Okay.
Well, you can be rest assured that I answered that question really well.
I bet you did. I'm predicting, well, let's ask people in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well did Grant answer that question? 10 if it was perfect, 1 if it was nah, and 5 if it was, I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Well, someone says, love your tutorials, man. I'm taking that as a win.
Yeah. There's a lag, so they said that before you'd finished answering the question. So
no.
Lide Studios or Lide Studios, we'll see if they change their mind about how good this Grant fellow is.
No, you can't go back on that. No.
So again, if you're watching live, if you've got any questions for us about game development, your game development journey, anything about GameDev TV as well, then feel free to throw it in here. I think we had some feedback that Skill Builder, we still do have the Skill Builder access for people who are lifetime members. So let's talk about lifetime members a little bit now then. So once a year, we sell access to all of our courses, everything we've done in the past, everything we'll do in the future for our courses. For lifetime membership. It's on sale right now. If we can find a link to that, that would be more useful. If you go to GameDev.tv, you'll see right at the very front of the page is like lifetime members. So jump in there and check it out. This is the lowest the price will ever be. Each year we put it up just a little bit because we've got more content there, and next year it'll be a little bit higher yet again. I think it's ending. We were going to end it today-ish or yesterday or something, but I think Lucy gave it a few more days because people were getting a bit upset that they'd run out of time and their paycheck hadn't come in yet, all that kind of stuff. So basically it's all of our stuff, all of our courses. And then as a lifetime member, you get access to a special Discord channel. So you get connected to the most dedicated and loyal and engaged and like pumped up and enthusiastic people in our community, which is really neat. There's so much juice you get out of hanging out with like-minded people. You also get big old discounts for our programs. So programs aren't included as lifetime membership, but you get discounts on everything else that we provide, our live products, so our programs. You do, as lifetime member, you do get the Pathways program, the blend of pathways that Grant was talking about, and any pathways we create in the future. If we create Skill Builder, maybe you get access to Skill Builder stuff as well, but we don't have plans to make any more Skill Builders just at the moment. But given that there's questions about it, maybe we should, and maybe we will. Yeah, and then obviously any courses we make forever, we get access to as lifetime member. So we're really trying to make this a great proposition for folks, trying to make it something that says, thanks for being part of our community and thanks for hanging out with us. And there's a lot of lifetime members that I think we've been seeing on our live conversations and in our programs and just always there hanging out. So as feeling being part of the tribe. It's a really lovely way to feel part of the community, be connected to people, and just to really invest in what it is that you're up to as a game developer. So there we go. There's the plug for lifetime membership. Don't want to dig around.
A quick question on that from Eric Venemeyer. Sorry, I've butchered that name. But what percentage discount? So I think they're probably interested in one of the indie programs or the art programs. Can you remember offhand the percentage discount?
That's something Lucy may not want me to talk about it because it might be a good one, and then people who are not lifetime members might be like, "Oh, you guys suck." But I don't know. When we do discounts, we never do 5% discounts because it's like that's not really a discount. It's always more substantial than that. Discounts are usually 10, 15, 20, 25% that we do for things. So I know for the programs it was a meaty kind of discount. It wasn't half price, but it was somewhere in that ballpark. That we try to I mean, if someone's already invested a bunch in being a lifetime member, we want to make sure that we look after them moving forward after that. So I think it was 20%, 25%, I think. Yes, good stuff. There was a question on upcoming programs. When will the next indie program be run? So I don't want this to be too much of a let's try to sell you all of our stuff. I want to make sure we're answering questions as well. But if there's questions about the stuff we sell, then let's make sure we answer those. The programs are usually 8 weeks where we have live coaching calls either every week or every other week. We have major projects we work on. We have very dedicated team to support as you're going through that process. So the art program's coming up again. Like we said, I think it's the end of August, start of September that will be run. It's all about become an artist, like be an artist, do things that artists do, think like an artist, get really professional as an artist using Blender and having a good eye for how to create all sorts of art, specifically game art. And our indie program is about how to make games that can sell and make money, how to have success as an indie game creator, something that we currently our indie program is up to week 8 or 9 or 10. And it's got a few more weeks left in terms of the main component to it. We offer support for a whole year, so 12 months, where our team will support you on your indie quest, your indie journey, and having conversations and supporting people's games, etc. So I think that one's going to be run before the end of the year, the indie program. If you're interested, then how do we get you onto a list where you can say if you're interested or not?
Yes, God, we should have prepared these links, shouldn't we?
So
we weren't expecting all these difficult questions.
Oh, here we go. I found it. So this is.
Well done.
I'll put this on the screen. So sorry if I can figure out how to do that in this thing. Captions. I think that's it. Oh, there it is. There. Sorry, Grant. Say some. No, that's not it. Hide that. Dang it. That's the artist one. Sorry. Such a professional.
Hey, my one gets mentioned first, though. I appreciate that, Rick. You wanted to mention my one.
Well, that one. There we go. This is the. Does this link actually going to show? That's a long old link. So GameDev.tv courses ultimate-3D-artist. If you're interested in that, that's coming up at the end of this month, I think. If you're interested in the indie program, which is what the question was actually about. Sorry for diddling around with all this. This is the link for that one. It is the show /courses/ultimate-indie. So that's how you get to that as well. As a link. And then for lifetime membership, it is, well, just go to our website, GameDev.tv, and you'll see it right there.
Straight on there. I did post a link earlier, but it's just, go onto the website and you'll see it straight on there.
Yeah. Okay, so that's enough us trying to sell our stuff. What other questions do we have from our lovely
So we got one from Matt Sutton here, career question. So most advice is for beginners getting into game dev as a first or graduate job. What advice would you give for someone looking to pivot from a senior position in a different industry?
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. I've seen this a lot of times. The number one thing, this is going to sound really obvious and cheesy. Okay. So bear with me because it's common sense. It's not common practice. is you have to have made games. It's so critical. So if you come along and say, I'm a senior web developer, I know a bunch of stuff, I'm pretty smart, I can solve any problem, I can use any language you throw at me. It's like, cool, show me the games you've made. Well, I haven't really made any games yet, but trust me, I'm going to be good at it. You won't get a look in. No one will even consider you because it's like, well, I need to know you at least understand how web dev and game dev are different. So whether that's your own indie games that you're working on, whether you've worked with a team or worked in a studio, you have to have made games. And this is the currency when it comes to getting a job, particularly a senior job, is the currency is how many games have you made? And I hate that currency because if you've made 10 games, it doesn't necessarily make you a better developer than someone who's made 3 games. It's just that you happen to have made 10 games. If you've made 0 games, then you really do have 0 currency when it comes to this. So you have to make your own games. And like I said before, they don't have to be good, but they have to show something. And this is the most important way of getting a job, whether you're a beginner or you're experienced. If you're targeting a particular job, for example, you want to become or be a back-end developer in a large studio that works on games, you need to go and show, look at all these examples of me doing back-end game development. And again, they don't have to be in published games. They don't have to be in finished games. They don't have to be in good games, but you need to be able to show them, here's where I connected all of the back-end functionality, the server, so that the players can access whatever high scores with a click of a button. Like, look at click, you can see it working. There it is, I've done that. And then you might show something else where you're like, this is pulling from all of the player, the player stats we've done in the past, and it's showing that to a new player, saying you can choose this weapon or that weapon based upon the most popular choices. I've set that up as well. And if you're doing that, make sure, please go and spend $20, $30, $50 on nice assets. Don't be giving programmer art, because something that looks good has more credibility than something that doesn't look good. So have it look a little bit shiny, but it doesn't have to be a full game. It doesn't have to be something you've launched. It doesn't have to be something you've published. Question here, do Game Jam games count for showing you can make games? Absolutely they do. Absolutely, 100% they do. And again, you have to show me what you're showing me. So for example, if you wish to get a job as a gameplay programmer, I know I can gameplay, not a problem, I can do it. And you're applying to a job, or you're trying to get a job in a studio that makes first-person shooters. What sort of game jam do you need to show me? You need to show me first-person shooter games. If you show me here's a little puzzle game, it's not going to click anywhere near the same way. If you're looking to find someone to paint your house, and I'm looking for a painter to paint the inside of my house, the inside of the walls, it's currently white, I want it blue. Someone comes along with a picture they've painted of a landscape. You're like, what the hell is that? Technically it's painting, but that doesn't mean you can paint my walls for me. Or if someone comes along and says, I have painted so many driveways, I'm excellent painting concrete, that's what I do. Like, but that's not painting walls. You need to think the same way when it comes to applying for an opportunity out there. So the best thing is there's a hierarchy. The best thing is showing I've made the exact game that this studio makes. That's the best thing. The next best thing is to say, I've made a mechanic or an element from that game. So look at me making a really cool reload mechanic. There's nothing else to my game, but it's a beautiful reload mechanic. And you guys do games where players reload. Look, I can do it. And if you have a few of those mechanics, that counts for a lot. The next best thing down is to have a game, whether it's a big old game or a published game or a Steam game or a Game Jam game, that's on any topic that you've made. That's the next best thing down. And then the next best thing down is you've just made something that shows you understand game development. And then the worst thing is you haven't made any games. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that's a pretty comprehensive answer there. This is an interesting one, and I'm not sure it's a very easy one to answer, but Mahmood M asks, could you share some of your personal experience and advice regarding the differences in skill or things that are important to know in some of the game genres? So skills that are specific to game genres. Can you think of any? I'm not sure it might be too much of a niche question perhaps, but perhaps think of one.
If Mahmood, if you can give us some more information on what are you trying to solve in your own life so that we have context. If it's just one of those, I'm kind of generally curious, it's a pretty broad question.
Yeah.
Differences in different genres. We can talk about design differences, programming differences, art differences,
Art differences. Yeah, that's what I was.
make it.
Yeah.
So that's a big old broad, tricky one.
Yeah. So come back with more specific question. I'll go to the next one for you,
Okay,
and we'll give Mahmood a chance to come back.
Yeah.
So how do you approach projects that feel out of reach because of the time or cost limitations? Do you lower the scope of the game, or put it on hold until you have the resources to build what you want? And that's from Phoenix Fether.
Phoenix. Yeah, really cool question. This plagues the indie game developer who has lots of great ideas, but not necessarily the skill to execute them. Oh, a game would be really cool if when you explode the barrels, little minions come out, and then when you shoot the minions, little barrels come out, and then when you shoot those barrels, little minions come out. So it's like barrels, and you're like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and you've got it in your head, and you're like, oh, it's going to be so good. And then you're like, how the heck do I have minions come out of barrels, and then barrels come out of minions, and you're struggling and you're stuck on it. So that's a pretty dumb example, but that happens. That happens all the time. You've got great ideas and examples, but can't necessarily execute on them. What I would say is, say, for example, let's take the beast of all games, the RPG. There's so many different systems in an RPG. If you haven't made an RPG before, you're going to look at it and say, I don't know how to do saving, loading. I don't know how to do inventory. I don't know how to do shops. I don't know how to do quests. This is going to take me years, and it will. But if you're really passionate about it, if that's what your heart really sings to one day making an RPG, then make a game which is just one of those things. So, for example, make a little arena combat brawler game. That if you get good at making little arena combat brawler games, then that combat element is going to translate and be useful when it comes time to making your big RPG. So definitely scope down. Definitely. You don't want to be working on something for years and feel that frustration. Make the elements of them small so that one day you can join them all together in a fairly quick and easy way. Not necessarily literally joining game A and game B and game C and it's game D, but the knowledge and the systems and the processes that you learned from A and B and C. So make a little brawler type thing where enemies spawn in from off screen or through a door, gladiator style. They spawn in and run at you, and then you go hack, and you win the game, and they've got health bars, and you've got a couple of moves. Oh, I'll do a spin move and a roll move, and now that's really cool. You might get there and say, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is a weapon upgrade system, and then you spend all your time and energy on a weapon upgrade system. Maybe you pick up some things, maybe there's a currency, maybe there's some stats, and you're just focusing on that, and that's all it is. It's just weapon upgrades. And then at some point you join the two together, and you're like, oh, cool, I've made this game that's just one little step bigger. But if something feels out of reach, then it's likely going to be out of reach. And until you get to the point where you've either got the resources or the time, it's a frustrating journey. You've got to have wins, right? At the very, very start of this conversation today, we said what really matters is finishing your game. So if you finish a game, it's only half the content of your beautiful game, but it's finished, it's 100% better. Something finished is 100% better than something that's not finished. So
absolutely,
that's how I would tackle that.
Yeah. There's a couple of questions about sort of selling games, but might be a bit sort of beyond what we're talking about. Trying to get the game finished is the most important thing. But how would you answer this question? It's from Wenady. In your experience, is it better to price your game low at $5 and aim for more sales, or price up, hoping for less, more substantial sales?
Yeah.
I feel like I know what you're going to say with this one.
What I'm going to say is come join our indie program, because this is, we talk about this a lot. Stefan gives you a structure for this. He created a game with his business partner for 4 or 5 years called Line War, which is huge and epic and amazing and big. And they price it at, I think, $20, $10, $20, $30, somewhere in there. And he also, as part of the program, created a smaller side-scrolling platformer for Steam. And he also found a publisher for that. So it's going to be on Switch. And I think it's going to be more like a $5 or $8 or $10. There's a lot of strategy. Strategy number one is you need to price it large enough so that you can do discounts. Why? when you do a discount, if someone's wish list your game on Steam, I'm talking about here, you've wish listed it, you'll get an email saying, hey, this game you wish list is on sale. And I think the minimum sale you can do is 20%. So then you get notified about it. So if you price it at $5, you might not want to do a $4 sale. You might need to price it at $9, $10, so that it then, the discount lands. However, if you've got a game that there's not much to it and it's pretty quick to play and the expectations of the player is that it's a $5 game, then you need to price it at $5. So there's a lot to it. In this quick conversation, I'd say find a game that's as similar to your game as possible in terms of size and scope, and has had some success. Follow their pricing. So if you're making a little cute little puzzle game that's fun and you can play for hours and it's kind of neat, and you see one out there that's kind of similar and doing pretty well for $5, then that answers your question.
One from Lied Studios. Something I often worry about is recreating existing games or using taken names. Any advice on how to avoid taken names existing concepts?
Yeah, I think most of that's solved with half an hour of searching. I think
so. Yeah. You're probably pretty safe there, aren't you? Put the name in. If it comes up with a game, go to the place where you would be selling your game and search to see if it's there. And if it's not there, then that's good. If it is there, then start again. And then obviously jump into Google and see if it's there. Like if your game is called Grant Abbitt Rocks the Game, then make sure you search exactly for that and put game in it so that you can see if you can find it. And sometimes that one does exist, I'm afraid. So
I know. I saw you making it, Grant.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Trying to sell it to me for when I got a bit of spare money, when I've got that $5, I'll give it a go. But
well, I priced it at 4 because of the pricing plan.
Oh, okay.
I did the indie program, and they said 4.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's a good question. It's something search. So that's all I've got. Search.
Yeah, that's it. It's do your research, really, isn't it? And there's an element of that, isn't there, with that one? Yep.
Yes.
So I did have another
question
one, and I've lost it.
Carlos, will we get a music composition course? We do have a music course. It's a simple one, but yeah, we've got a sound effect course and a music course created by Mitch. So we do have those.
Yep. This is an interesting question. I don't know whether my opinion is going to be different to yours here, Rick, but this is from Mr. X. Are tutorial levels needed? I think they're pointless. Old games didn't have them. ICO, Shadow of the Colossus, Doom, etc. So do you think we need tutorial levels or not?
Interesting. Oh, this is one of the. I love that so many people in our community are old farts like you and I. Right? That's back. I remember back in the day when we had a stick and a rock, and that was the game. This is the way it worked. What's the purpose of a tutorial or a tutorial level? It's so people know what to do. If your game's intuitive enough that it's obvious, you don't need that. And usually, if it's say you've got a first-person character or a third-person character, everyone knows how to move a first-person character. You don't need a welcome to the game. Move your mouse up and you'll look up. It's like, who doesn't know how to do? If you don't know how to do that, don't play my. You're not allowed to play my game if you don't know how to do that. It's crazy. So I think you only there's smarter ways to do it. It's to if you've got a character in your game or story or anything, it's like, hey, get to the end of the level before the thing explodes, quick, go. And then you don't have to have a tutorial that says, in this game, there's a timer. If the timer runs out, you lose your life. It's like you've used story to do it.
Yeah.
So I think
that's right.
I think sometimes people are using tutorials because they want to get into their game very quickly, the complicated aspect of the game more quickly for the player. But yes,
for me, I think delivering stuff slowly and building up is the better way. And like you say, if you die because you didn't do something, and it's sort of fairly obvious, oh, there was a timer, and then that's the tutorial in a sense, isn't it? The tutorial is that you died. Game of Souls style, just you're dead. But it depends. If you've got a strategy game, then sometimes you just have to, don't you? You have to say this bit's this bit's this.
Yeah.
But again, build up that strategy. Don't introduce it all at once. Build it up slowly. Then you want progressions and levels. It's funny because it's very similar to tutorials that I produce. I'm thinking, don't introduce that really heavy concept in a beginner tutorial. That's crazy. Build them up slowly towards that goal. So it's the same thing in games. And you can quickly lose people. I'm one of those people who will think, nah, I've had enough. That's too complex for me. I'm going to play something else.
You know what's interesting, Grant, is a bad game people won't have any patience for. They won't stick around. They won't be like, show me how it works.
These days.
But a good game, like you and I have been playing a bit of Factorio. Factorio, you've got no idea what you're doing because there was no tutorial. And because you were playing with me and Ben who have played before, you're like, I'm not sure what to do, you guys, because you didn't go through that discovery stage because we're often racing doing the more detailed things. But if you were playing that on your own, you'd sit there and be like, what the heck am I doing? There's no tutorial, but there's like an encyclopedia. So if you get stuck, you can go look at that. And interesting, I think a lot of the magic of that game is you go online and watch some YouTube videos and the community is explaining. So a good game that's a big game that's got a lot of momentum behind it, you kind of don't need a tutorial because there's other ways to get that. But well, as time's gone on, so that's only half correct. There are little snippets of tutorials where you can pull on them. So I think this is a good way to do tutorials. If you're stuck, you can say, I'm stuck. And it's like, hey, here's how to mine coal out of the ground. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Great. That's all I wanted to know right now. I didn't want to watch 10 minutes of cutscenes about coal's really important to your production process.
Yeah. Quite right. So a quick question to the chat. What is the first game you played? We're talking about old farts that we are. So there's, I heard Doom mentioned there. I remember that one. But what's the first game you played? Who's the oldest? Who's going to get the crown of the oldest here? What's the first game you played, Rick? Can you remember?
Oh my God, there's going to be some ancient people that are. So the first game I played, I mean, I was so young, I can't remember the names of the systems, and they were a little bit different, the names in Australia. Maybe it was in television, but it was a console. It was a little unit that had a light gun, and it had a paddle with a rotating paddle on it. So there was one where you shot. I forget. For me, it was like, you're in the forest and there's animals everywhere. But what actually was a white dot that you kind of shot. Oh, look at that! I'm a hunter, because back in the days that was imagination, kids. So that was in the late 70s.
Yeah,
that's how old and retarded.
That's how old we are.
Yeah,
there's a few. I mean, some young people here. I would say Super Mario 64. You're pretty young there, Carlos. Lemmings. I remember Lemmings. That was a good one. My teenage years. Yep. Someone has said Pong. Ken with his Pong. How old are you?
I think so, yeah.
Prince of Persia. Look at that one. Oh, yeah, there we go.
I played Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia.
Anything with the number 64 in it, it's like, you're not old.
No, no.
Hungry Horse, Road Rash.
I had a Amstrad CPC 464. Remember it well, with the tape. Had to blow on the tape, sort of clean it a little bit. Get them working.
Mahmood, the chance, sorry. And based in your experience, could you outline game genres that are easier to start with and not too complex? Okay, that was the question from before. What are game genres that are easy? The easiest game genre is one where you can go do a tutorial and then expand upon it. Starting from scratch is tough. It's like anything. If you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to do it. But if you're a Unity person, come join our Unity 2D or Unity 3D course, and we'll make a couple of projects that are platformers, that are simple obstacle avoidance games, and they're the easiest ones to start with because we already make it together, and then you can add some things to it and make it your own, add some different art assets and add a couple of features and bada bing, bada boom. Grand Theft Auto 3, good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Born yesterday. Well, let's not be ageist. Let's not here. Let's not.
No.
Space Invaders. Oh yeah, I played arcade games as well. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember when I was really young playing Moon Buggy, Moonlander. You got these 3-wheeled little buggy, and you have to jump over things, and you put in money. You put in money, kids, and then you play, and then.
Yeah. I had a Commodore 64 was my second machine. So
with your
code with Wait, well, I won't even try. It's quite fun actually seeing all the different names of games, and it reminds you of your youth. Oh, my youth.
Youth.
Long ago.
Youth. And you know what, that nostalgia aspect is huge for first of all us as game developers, creating something that allows us to just live in our youth, in our yesteryear. That's part of the fun as a hobbyist. We're not necessarily trying to make a game that's going to get out there and have 1 million people play it. We're going to make something that reminds us of our youth, and maybe capture a little bit of the they don't make games like this anymore. I think that's neat to do as well.
Yeah. How are we doing for time, Rick? What are you thinking time-wise? Have we got
let's do it. Let's do another 10 minutes of Q&A, and then we'll wrap it up so we're not too long. Normally we try to wrap it up in an hour, but we've got some good questions coming in, so we'll give it another 10 minutes of Q's and A's.
Yeah. Awesome stuff.
Actual
coins. Oh, yes.
Actual coins to play games. Yes, we did. You didn't have a smartphone. Wow.
Smartphone? Goodness me.
Ring the rotary dial. Like, young kids don't know what on earth that's all about.
Got my first email address in university. I remember that. And then my first mobile after university. So, goodness me.
So, question from Sean Moody. Does the lifetime membership grant access to like the 3D artists and indie game courses? So if you're talking about the programs, the lifetime membership covers courses, all of our courses. So if you go to GameDev.tv now and have a look at, click on the courses button, you'll see that all the stuff in there, but it doesn't give you, it's not including the programs. The programs are different. There's a whole live component to it, a whole different team that works on it and all that kind of stuff. But we give you discounts to that. So we're trying to make it favorable. If you're a lifetime member, then you get some we try to look after you for that, but they're not included. We do also give you some free assets that we've created, some of our art assets. That's not one of the ones that I think we don't mention that on the lifetime member page, or maybe we do, but we just try to give stuff to lifetime members. Hey, we've got some assets we've made and we're selling them on our site, but let's give them to lifetime members because that'd be a nice thing to do.
Yeah, early access to courses as well. Courses coming out.
Oh yeah, early access, yeah, and also the chance to shape what we do. We're always asking our lifetime members, should we do this or should we do that? And so lifetime members have a very big say in what courses come next.
Yep, that's why I'm doing a hard surface modeling course with a little car at the moment. So yeah, that'll be, if you get the lifetime membership, you'll get that for free. It's coming out soon.
Nice.
I'm excited about that because I created a little Porsche and it looks really cool. Sorry, Rick. Slight aside there.
It's all good. Are you planning an upcoming courses by you, Rick? There was I think NMN, there was a question before about what's Rick doing. So I've been pretty involved in the programs, but I've also been helping remaster or re-update the Unity 2D course so that it's in Unity 6, the latest version of Unity. And that's, I think in the next few days, we're going to be releasing the first 2 sections of that in Unity 6. So that, and this is one of the things we try to do when there's a frustration here because our courses are still good and relevant and work and the right knowledge for years and years and years. However, when the version of the software changes, so for example, Unity goes from Unity 5 and then Unity 2000s and whatevers, and then back to Unity 6, people look at it and say, oh, it must not be relevant or good or up to date because I can see I'm downloading Unity 6, but this was created in Unity 2023. They're still good and valid and totally work, but the software is just, there's a couple of little bits that are different. So every now and again, we update our courses, and that's what we're doing with the Unity 2D. We did the Unity 3D a little while ago, so it's in Unity 6. But our Unity 2D course is what I'm working on at the moment. I'm currently just updating Tilevania so that it's in our Unity 6.
We've got an actual artist creating some of the little assets as well, haven't we? Is that right?
In some of the projects, I have a lot of nostalgia for Tilevania, and I really like the pixel art style to it. So I'm keeping those assets in that one. But the other ones we've given a little bit of a polish to the art for.
And using some of the assets as well. You give away some assets in those courses, do you, to work with as well. Yeah. So because I remember you showing me, it was the rocket that was you were working on it, and I just thought that looked really cool. I wanted to do it, but didn't have time.
Nice. Yeah.
I was still developing my Grant is Awesome game that we talked about earlier.
You'll have to finish that one day. Yes. A question from Visulf. How do you get out of tutorial hell? Question for people watching just now. Would you say yes or no? Would you say that you feel like you're in tutorial hell, as in you're stuck during doing tutorials and you can't get out of it, in terms of, you keep doing more and more and more and more tutorials, and that's what's stopping you from progressing? Let us know. I'm curious. We've had some conversation about that, but how do you get out of that? Get out of tutorial hell for complex topics like, say, online multiplayer, to really understand it and applying it and eventually mastering it. I mean, it's what I was talking about before. If you're in tutorials, you have to build upon those tutorials and take them further. If you're only doing the tutorials, you're not going to learn anywhere near as well as if you're doing the tutorials and then expanding upon it, pushing yourself, adding a new feature, joining one tutorial that you've seen with another tutorial that you've seen, and trying to make something bigger and better and different. So you have to be solving problems, not just accumulating the knowledge. That's the one way to do it. So start with an online multiplayer course, and then go watch some other online multiplayer YouTube videos, and then go do another online multiplayer course, and then go, take all of the knowledge that you've got from other places and say, okay, I don't know how to have, I've got 4 players. I don't know how to have 8 players, and I don't know how to create a lobby. I'm going to go figure that out, and then go figure it out. Do research, talk to people, just play around with it, try to solve it, try to get the answers. You've got to push yourself. So tutorials are amazing for knowledge, but skills and really deep understanding, you have to go and add to the tutorials. The tutorials aren't the problem. The problem is that you're not then taking it the next step.
Absolutely.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. And others are pointing that out, exactly that. It's to escape tutorial hell by doing your own projects and building upon things. Exactly that. Yeah, quite right. Did have a question. What was it? Can some of the knowledge learned in Unity be applied to Godot as well? Like, for example, how to set up peer-to-peer multiplayer if that was a course?
I think if you learn an engine and programming and a programming language, there's so many principles that you can then immediately transport to another engine or language. There'll be a little bit of the syntax is a bit different, and where's the button, and what's the particular, maybe there's a package I need to install for this, whereas over there I don't have to install a package. So yes, absolutely, the theory and the knowledge and the process and the problem solving translate. What's the difference between the Unity and the Godot? What was the question there? It was for some multiplayer system.
It's
peer-to-peer multiplayer. Yeah. I don't know how the two engines differ. There'll definitely be differences, but the knowledge translates. The knowledge is useful. It doesn't necessarily mean you can just step from Unity and immediately do it in Godot, because Godot does things differently. And I don't know specifically with that topic how they do it differently. So yeah, it's never wasted learning engine A and then going to engine B. You always take something with you, but for a more complex topic, engine A is not going to directly map to engine B. You'll have to do some work to get up and running with it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, another 2 questions, I think, Grant.
Yep, there's one from Lucian Dev. Grant, most of your tutorials are like the low poly art kind of art style. Do you recommend anyone who does like the stylized art style, like World of Warcraft kind of stylized style? The character course that I do is kind of in the World of Warcraft direction, I would say. The environment course as well. That's those are more sort of bigger courses that reach advanced levels. Low poly I tend to stick to for beginner subjects, so you can have a look at those and you'll get there. But they do tend to be more advanced, so I would recommend doing those secondary to one of the more beginner courses where low poly is a good starting point. That's probably why you see me doing a lot of low poly stuff. Hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, it's interesting, low poly and stylized and high poly and high detail, that sometimes the words mean different things in
Yes.
different people's heads. Like I would
Very
see
true.
World of Warcraft as being maybe not low poly, but sort of mid poly.
It's sort of mid, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
mid with texture painting, I guess. That's so. Look at
Yes.
the texture painting course that we have as well. Yeah, that would certainly help.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of skill
Mm.
that you have to develop over time with that sort of art style. It's not an easy one to just take a course and then you're done. You're ready.
Yeah.
You have to take a course,
Have to
practice
practice it.
lots, and
Yeah.
then you're ready. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the artistic eye as opposed to the technical knowledge. So if you know how
Yeah.
to model and you can make low poly and you can do texture painting, then you've got everything you need to make World of Warcraft. You just then need to work on your skill and your craft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question.
This might be a long question, but William Payet, you usually advocate for premium type games. Have you had any experience with mobile games, free with in-app purchases, ads, and such? What do you think about them for indie developers?
Gotcha. Yeah. So by premium, you mean the purchase mechanism. So you pay your $10 and you get your game. So the sort of indie game developer I am is more of a Steam indie game developer. I like playing Steam games. I like the design of Steam games. I worked in studios myself making free to play games, and it was okay, but for me, it didn't quite feel, the nostalgia we talk about didn't quite feel like the same thing. So have you had any experience with mobile games? Yes. The thing with mobile games is your goal is retention. And when I was working in PopCap many years ago, we had someone way up the top of the tree was because EA owns PopCap. So I think there was something coming from EA. The initiative, the push was conversion or monetization. So in other words, make money. Each person who comes along wants you to make money. Most people are going to leave within the first minute. So in that first minute, we have to sell them something because then they're going to leave and never come back. So there was a push for a while, which was all about monetization and conversion. Conversion meaning converting from not spending to spending. And that was the push. And for me, that hurt my soul because it's totally wrong. It's totally incorrect. It's the absolute wrong way of going about doing it. Step one is to have people love your game and want to come back and want to play it and appreciate it and love that it's free and be thankful that it's free and they want to play it, regularly. And at some point, if you've focused on retention, they'll say to you, you've earned some money from me because I like this so much. Now, obviously, I don't know the numbers nowadays. 95% of people who play free-to-play games are like, I'm never spending any money on this. Why would I? That's dumb.
Yeah.
So cool. But it's the 5% who are like, hey, I've got an hour's joy out of this. That's worth $5. So then you need to give those people an opportunity to give you money. And how are you going to do that? What's the mechanism that you're using, ads or in-app purchases? And again, find a game that you like, the way that they do it. I really like that after 10 minutes, it says, would you like to watch an ad to get more gems? You're like, yeah, I'll watch an ad, get more gems. And they put up a little thing that says, hey, thanks very much. Every ad you watch helps the developers out. Like, I'm going to do it that way as well. So the goal has to be retention. Make a good game that people want to come back and play and want to stick around. And then after they've been playing your game for whatever the amount of time is that you think is relevant, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, obviously not too long, then you give them an opportunity to give you some money in a way that's meaningful for them.
Yeah.
And what do you think about them for indie developers? Absolutely. If you know that area, do what you know, do what you love. That's important. If you play free-to-play games, if you love free-to-play games, then you'll be excellent at understanding how it works. If, like me, you don't really play free-to-play games, you don't really love free-to-play games, you're going to be a bit crap at it, and you should stick to what you do. Like, stick to the things you know and are good at.
I think that is quite a good place to stop with the do what you know. That's a good philosophy, isn't it? And trying to step into something where you think, oh, well, that will make me money, but you don't really know it. That's not going to make you money, probably.
and that really, linking back to the topic of today, which is what really matters in game development, that really, really matters. Do something that you believe in, do something that you love, do something that you know, and you'll go well at it. If you don't know free to play, don't do it. If you don't love it, don't do it. but certainly. But you know, if you know it and you play free-to-play game, you'll be amazing at it. If you really love real-time strategy games, don't go and make a first-person shooter. Make real-time strategy games. And don't worry about the fact that there's a lot of real-time strategy games. There's a lot of everything. But if you know it and you love it and it's your jam, then you'll do really well at it. You'll invest the time and effort and energy, and you'll have more success, I think. If you love making 3D models, even if you're not very good at it, you'll love it. You'll put more time into it and you'll get good at it. You'll get better. If you hate making art, then don't do it. Like, don't force yourself to do it. You know, it's the same with anything. Absolutely. So I think that's really, really important.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. And if we see you in our lifetime membership, then thanks for joining. And we'd love to have you be part of our community, part of our hardcore lifetime members. That'd be really cool. If not a problem. We'll see you in our Discord server, and we'll see you for another live catch up again sometime soon. So thanks everyone for joining today. Thanks for listening to our rambling. Grant, I look forward to seeing, what was it? The Grant Rocks game that's coming out.
I think that was it.
Now. Yeah. At the same
day.
That and Draggy Dog are going to be launching consecutively, like the same day, pretty much.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks very much, Rick.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Cheers.
Now, let me see if I can put this thing over the top that says good night, even though it's 7 a.m. It says good night. And then we chat along for a little bit just to make sure that the stream doesn't chop people off.
I want to go and play some of these old games again. I'm thinking about Doom and Prince of Persia with their brilliant rotoscoping.
Prince of Persia.
Yeah. I didn't like that game, actually. I got really annoyed with it. And you had to go right to the very edge, and you're almost dangling off the edge, and then you had to jump and all that sort of stuff. Oh, it's all about timing.
Yeah. Some of those games of the past were amazing, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I think we're safe to end our stream now. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.